It's May 1st, and if you've been with us since the beginning, well, you're about to start your 5th month in our reading plan. Congratulations. And if this is your first time here, well, come and join us. There's a lot left for us to read this year. We still have most of the Old Testament and all of the New Testament. I'll also put a link to the Bible reading plan that we're using and to the May monthly devotional in the description of this video, just in case you need a copy of either one. So let's dig into 2 Samuel 5, 1 Chronicles 11 through 12. David has been king of Judah for about 7 years, and now he's about to become king of all Israel. The tribes that made up Israel were those who had followed after Saul's son, Ishbosheth. Now all the tribes were gathered at Hebron to make a covenant with David and to recognize him as their king. Right afterward, David takes the army to Jerusalem to fight against the Jebusites, who still occupied Jerusalem during this time. And the Jebusites were so sure that their city was impregnable that they taunted David, saying to him, "Hey, our lame people and our blind people could beat you guys." Well, this vexed David to no end, and he told his men, "The first one of you that successfully breaches the city and defeats the Jebusites, I'll make you chief and captain of the army." Well, that honor fell to Joab. Now, once the city was taken, David began fortifying and expanding the city. David also moved into Jerusalem, and he adds more wives and more children to his family. Things are going pretty great at this time. And then his old nemesis, the Philistines, they get nervous about David being made king. And they weren't too crazy about that song going around, Saul killed his thousands and David his 10,000s. Well, the Philistines came out in search of David, and David obliged them and went to meet them. There are 2 separate engagements between Israel and the Philistines mentioned in this chapter. These 2 battles are written about in 1 Chronicles 14, and we'll see that story again when we get there. Now, the first encounter, David inquired of the Lord and asked, "Should I go up and fight?" And God said, "Yes." So David did, and he defeated them. The second time, David asked God if he should go up and fight the Philistines. But this time, God said no. Instead, go around behind them and wait until you hear the sound of marching in the treetops. Then go up. Well, the Lord preceded David in battle. So all David had to do is he just went and cleaned things up. Now in 1 Chronicles chapter 11, we pick up with David's mighty men. Now there's a similar list of these men that are also found in 2 Samuel 23. It's slightly different with the names and the numbers of men. There are some incredible deeds performed by these men, and several are noted by the number 3. The 3 most prominent men were Eleazar, Abishai, and Benaiah. All of them had single-handed victories, slaying over 300 of the enemy at once. Eleazar and 2 other companions stood in a field and defended it against the Philistines and delivered a great victory for Israel. 3 others slipped away into the Philistine camp in Bethlehem just because David wished he had a drink of water from a well from his hometown. And there are other feats and great things mentioned about these men. These men formed the core around David, the people that he trusted to protect him and to defend Israel. Then we come to chapter 12. David consolidates his forces. In addition to his mighty men, there were forces that defected from Saul. They came to David at Ziklag. Now, there were men who came from the tribe of Benjamin, Saul's tribe, men from Gad, and others from Judah, and they joined David there. And they helped David go out and raid the Philistines, while David was telling the Philistines he was raiding Judah. The men kept coming to him in droves, day by day. Now here at Hebron, all the rest of the tribes began to show up. His ranks grew to over 300,000 men. They were there for 3 days to recognize him as king over all Israel and to pledge their arms and support to him. They ate, they drank, they partied for those 3 days, and there was joy in Israel. Now, what really spoke to me is the difference we see between how David responds to becoming king and how Saul responded. David, he surrounded himself with capable, trusted men. Saul surrounded himself with men that were pursuing, their own interest, mediums and idolaters. The warriors came to David voluntarily. Saul went out and conscripted his. David inquired of God for guidance. Well, Saul, he relied on Samuel when it was convenient for him. Otherwise, he did what he wanted, and he disobeyed God. David didn't necessarily have an easy time of it. Most of the time, he was either running or fighting. But we do see God's hand on him the whole time. I hope you'll keep on reading as we go through our Bible study together. And I hope you'll come back tomorrow for more here at Set Sail, Grace Harbor.